I left a message with Dave from Toronto. He wanted to know the minute the conduit was in the ground. I've left a message as of today. Eventually he will come in. He will put phone lines and data lines underground as well. And that's where we stand with that one. The only other issue I have is, what are we gonna do with this dog issue? We're gonna have to talk about it. Other than that, that's all I have. Art, thank you, by the way, you did a nice job out here, thanks.
Yes, sir.
That's it for me, thank you.
Thank you.
You have anything, Betty?
Well, I'd like to make a reference to the steering committee, like Paul Spencer brought it up. I don't know who the two people are that you're referring to as far as being allies. Who are you referring to?
This was not back and forth.
Well, Laura Lee Whitlock couldn't make it tonight, and she did submit a letter of interest, she's interested. And in the minutes, it said that Sean Cotton was the person that needed to write a letter of interest to the planning board. And he is here, and he was also at both meetings and stated he was interested. So I don't know why he's the only one that had to write a letter of interest. Sean and I are not any more allies than Chris Novak or anybody on this board and myself. So I don't know why he's being picked on or why you keep picking on me about it. I was also told by Sarah I had every right to make the appointment. So I was just trying to do my job. We've only got a handful of people on this committee, and I thought more people would be an asset. And I'm sick of people picking on me about these things. I'm trying to do my job, and I feel I deserve respect, and I don't need to be bullied or be disrespectful on this board. I believe the people in this town showed that during the election. And that's all I got to say.
I have a couple of things, if I could. Unless you want to go?
No.
Okay. First of all, Betty, just to clarify, I don't think anyone's picking on you, but the procedure that was set forth in the steering committee, I think there's two members here that are on the board that were present, is that a letter of interest goes to the steering committee. The steering committee sends it.
Can I interrupt just as a point of
Sure.
information? The only people who have the power to appoint anybody on the comprehensive plan steering committee is the board. So any board member, regardless of what the steering committee said in its own meeting, can bring a recommendation to appoint. There's nothing, Betty did not break the law. Maybe we don't like the way she went about it, because the steering committee had wanted to do this process. But legally, there's nothing, she didn't do anything wrong by to appoint somebody. Point of information.
No, I appreciate that. And I don't think that, I'm not saying that it's illegal. What I'm saying is that there was a process, and it almost seems like that process was jumped at the last second. And in deference to those people that are on the steering committee and work really hard, I think we should try to give them the proper respect by letting the steering committee send recommendations to us.
I do know there are other people that are on the steering committee that didn't have to do a letter of interest.
Well, I'm sure during the formation of the steering committee, I know that they sent about, 100 letters out to people to get the first group in. And out of even some people that have joined the steering committee, that some of them are not attending meetings, and this process is going to be very time consuming and arduous and a lot of work to come up with a new comprehensive plan. These people are given a lot of time, but let's just leave that there. I have a resolution that I'd like to vote on next meeting to set up a committee to review aspects of public safety in the town that we didn't have, that was very informal, but I'd like to make it a formal committee, because then members can look into obtaining grants and funding. And I already have some grants on the line for fire protection that maybe the town could get, that may either lessen our fire protection monies that we have to pay to the various departments, or be able to give them some additional equipment that would make it easier for them to respond, quicker response time, and for water. I do have two resolutions pending that I introduced last month to get bids for a pond or for hydrants, so we can look at the costs, and at least we can have an idea of what we're talking about, instead of bantering back and forth without set prices. We can put out a request for quotation, and we can get an idea of what a pond would cost on our own land, or how much it would cost to dig and put in these hydrants. So that's what I'd like to introduce at this meeting.
What are the two? What are the two?
Oh, one is for a pond.
What is the?
Okay, the two is, one is to get bids to see how much it would cost to dig a pond. That's what I submitted last month. And then I also submitted a second one to see what the cost of a hydrant or hydrants are. So we can get just so we can get an idea. So we know what we're talking about. So when we talk about fire protection, we can get a number. If the number's 3,000 or the number's 35,000, at least we know what we're talking about in either case. And you had asked me to come up with a cost-benefit analysis, and the idea is I need to know what the prices are so we can figure out if it's even worth it in a cost-benefit analysis. But at least getting some numbers here would go a long way in doing that. So that's all I have here are those two.
So generally, and once you go out to bid, and we went through this with the town hall, like, once you go out to bid, you wanna have before you go out, you should already have a pretty decent idea of what the project scope and costs might be. So like when we recently did it with the heating system here, it was, you just have somebody out and they'll give you a broad estimate, right? And they'll say, okay, it's gonna be about $5,000, whatever. And then once you get to once you know, okay, well, if it's gonna be about 5,000, we definitely, we wanna do this, then you send it out to bid, because otherwise if you're just kind of testing the waters, you're pissing contractors off. Because it may be something that never happens and you're kind of wasting their time and their money. So what I would recommend is that you just get a cost estimate and you don't need a vote for it, you just get a cost estimate for a pond from any, contractor that might do it, and same thing for hydrants. And that'll give you the sense of what you would want. And then if you think that this is, you have the votes on the board to move it forward, then obviously you send it out to bid.
Okay. So here's what I'm gonna do then. I've contacted several people on both accounts. I'll bring some preliminary numbers next month. And then with a good, solid request for a bid, and then I'll bring them back and we'll see if everyone wants to go forward on a bid next month. Okay, so I will bring those numbers to you. I kind of have preliminary numbers, but I really wanted to get the pencil sharp before I presented it.
Well, that's all you need
Okay.
to begin with.
Well, that's fine. I'll bring you those numbers. I'll have them in writing so we can pass them around so people can't say I'm making them up. Okay? I'll have a number for each.
I'm curious does the pond need lining?
Well, we would not know that until we dig some test holes,
Okay,
which I'm hoping that we're gonna be able to do next month when we get the go-ahead, because I have a preliminary number from 2 contractors, and I know what the hydrant number is, plus what, a price of a hydrant itself in our
it's a pretty penny.
northern latitudes,
Mhm.
okay, plus depending on the size of the main line and so forth, and placement is not, just the price, just not a piece of metal in the ground.
You just don't throw one in.
Right, you just don't throw one in, okay? So,
So are we holding these two?
I'll hold those 2 until next month, until I bring you a number in, okay? And then we'll have a solid number, and then we can make a vote next month to put them out for bid.
I didn't get any of those.
I gave them to you last month, but I'll give you a copy. They're the same ones
Oh,
I
it's the
handed.
same one you had last month?
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
I
The
thought you had another one tonight.
The only one I have tonight, which there's copies here, I should have had one on your
I
table.
didn't have one.
Okay, this is the one where I'm gonna ask next month that we have a committee, we set up a formal committee
Oh,
so we
okay, I
can
don't
get
have this
grants. So we can try to find grants in numbers, okay? Okay, that's all I have for me.
Anything,
Nope.
All right, any other council comments? Okay. Moving on to resolutions. Let's do the easy ones. We need the motion to approve the justice abstract.
Make the motion.
I'll second.
Justice report, sorry. It was Betty and Neil.
Yep.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? We need the motion to approve the financial abstracts.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? We are not doing the fire pond resolution. We need a motion to approve the 2018 town budget as amended with the $200 for senior services.
So moved.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I just wanted to say, Sarah, great job to go from 533 to 442. So on the average residents around here, it's going to be a significant. It's going to be like $100 bucks. It's going to be like $100 savings. Now, of course, the county will probably eat that all up, but I just wanted to say that was really excellent job. Okay.
Thank you.
So now I can vote.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? So now I'm not exactly sure what happened here. So this is on the day I was sick. There was a resolution, number 52, which did not get passed.
It did get passed.
Now, my
It
understanding,
was an
because
unbinding resolution.
there's no, okay, so, yeah, there's no such thing as a non-binding.
Oh, okay.
So, okay, so, sorry, it
That's
just
a
was.
federal, that's a federal term of art.
That's that's the same night that we saw. We didn't have
That
to
was-
month-
yeah.
And it was the same day we,
Yeah.
and it was basically all about me and I wasn't here. So, yeah, there, you can't really have a resolution that you don't really mean it. You either pass it or you don't. So, given that it includes some pretty, serious implications that are certainly not part of the budget that we just passed, we need to rescind that or completely change the budget that we just passed. So,
Can you say what the resolution was again?
okay, so
It's in your pile, Hank.
Okay.
I gave her one.
first of all, it's a little bizarre because it talks about draft findings and there's like nothing. It talks about a report from the Office of the University Comptroller that doesn't technically exist yet. It then goes on to, have very legitimate concerns, but yet again, it's based on a report that doesn't exist. And then it goes on to say, implement a historical budgeting approach that uses the past 3 years' historical expenses. That's fine, and we did that. But then it says establish cash reserve ceilings of $400,000 in the general fund and $150,000 in the budget. So basically, the only way to do that right off the bat is to, as part of the budget that we just passed, is to wipe our general fund down to $400,000. The way you do that is return it to all taxpayers in 1 year. So basically, the taxpayers would get this huge windfall, but then next year and the years after that, they'd be screwed. Now, maybe that's something that we would consider. The problem is that the way that this fund balance has accrued has been it didn't happen overnight. It was over many, many years in relatively small increments. The way I explained it to Neil was, look, you've been putting money into this thing your entire life, or since you've been paying property taxes, right? If we wipe our fund balance next year, say I moved in today and I want to move out, 2019, that person gets the benefit of every other long-term resident put into it. And not to mention, we don't have, just in case, some kind of equipment need comes up, and it will, because we're already using fund balance to buy equipment, we don't have anything left, so, there's no, you get 1 year of windfall, and then you get many years of budget that would be on its knees. So anyway, it's like, it's really serious what this thing is.
So Sarah, since I proposed a resolution, okay? We kind of like did exactly what I intended, maybe the wording's not correct, but we spent for a piece of capital equipment and got the highway balance, fund balance down to about 150, which is what the target was. And if you put a $500,000 capital reserve fund together, that gets our regular leftover balance under 400,000, which is what we wanted to, which
Right,
was
but this
the-
is cash reserves.
Okay, so you'll have to pardon me, I was attempting for something and it is what it is. But now that the budget's established and we gave money back to we lowered the money to the taxpayers and we're gonna do fiscally responsible things by doing a capital reserve fund and lowering the fund balance, I'm all for rescinding the resolution, okay?
All right, so what resolution are we at now?
Number 7.
Okay, so in that case, it's just gonna take me a minute to kind of do a.
Yep.
Can't we just say we want to rescind 52?
We need a resolution. What day was that? It was October.
Yeah, September 25th, I think it was. Was it September 25th? It's right
Stated-
behind, you look at the
stated on the
date on the
resolution.
calendar, the September meeting. Sarah was absent, right there, no, right there, look at that by your hand.
The fourth one.
That's okay, we don't know. Okay, no, that's fine, I'm not gonna put in that date. So, it's just resolution number 57 of 2017, resolve that resolution number 52 of 2017 is hereby rescinded.
1527.
September 27th. That is correct.
Dated September.
27.
Okay, I'll make the motion, second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Great. I introduced the resolution to establish the capital reserve fund. Do we have any other business?
There's no appeal.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
so,
what do we want to do with this dog? We gotta discuss this.
You know what? Man, why don't, first of all, are we allowed, can I discuss this?
yeah,
Okay. I would really like to get more information before I vote on something like this. I gotta get some more information, like, why has there been no enforcement if no one pays a fine? I would think if I didn't pay a fine, I'd be the guy over there would come get me if I didn't pay a fine at some point, but it's funny that we don't get, is it an enforcement issue and they have the teeth? Or I think we just need more before we pass a law that arrests somebody.
It appears to me that it has no teeth. Am I correct, Cheryl?
Right.
That's what it appears to me to be. You know, what if everybody in this whole township, I'm not gonna license my dog, to heck with them.
Exactly.
What happens then?
And it's not just licensing, it's the tickets for at large, it's the tickets for barking. It's any ticket that I issue.
So we probably need to go back to the dog control law as it was established in Steve's.
Right. This needs to be put into the dog control
She's
law.
looking for an amendment.
You
Right.
want, I mean, you think it needs to be.
Yes.
Because, I mean, it's a question of, do you believe that permits and dog barking is a criminal offense? That's what, this basically makes it. We are saying, we are now let's get the criminal justice system involved. Whereas before, there was no, you know, you're not going to jail for,
Then I should just quit writing tickets.
Right.
well, no, because people are paying those tickets.
Well, why
for
should
the
some
most
people
part.
pay and other people not? I mean,
Okay, so
the
this is,
criminal
at this
offense
point,
is
we're,
them
we've
not
gotten into
appearing.
an inappropriate, as DCO, it's really up to the town council on where they are with this. And you're definitely overstepping your bounds by making such a direct, recommendation and even bringing a resolution to the town board,
So who should bring that?
a town council member.
I said I would introduce it, and I will introduce it.
I think this stuff, although we can say it's criminal, it has the nature of a misdemeanor, not a felony, so there's a continuum. And it's reasonable to say that this is on the soft end of the continuum, it's not on the hard end.
Well, we're not creating the judicial code, that's.
No, that would be up to
Yeah,
our
but-
justice, of course.
You know what, Phil? Last month, or was it last month or 2 months ago, at the town meeting, somebody asked to bring, someone gave me local law number 2 from the town of Root that they wanted us to adopt, the same law. And it was when the cow got out and got hit in front of Paul Dawes' place, okay? And so I took a copy of local law number 2 that the town of Root adopted, and it refers to Article 18 of Town Law in the Department of Ag and Markets from 1955 that says that the only fence that you're allowed to have is a 4-strand barbed wire fence. Well, we know that nobody has a 4-strand barbed wire fence. Most people have high tensils or electric fencing or temporary fences or anything else. So if an animal gets out from anything other than a 4-strand barbed wire fence, they're in violation of the 1955 law, which makes no sense that the town adopted a law from 1955 because it just disregards 90% of the residents in their town. I'm afraid we're starting to do the same thing here until we see the original law and the original intent and what's happening there. I think we cannot try to tinker with a law until we know exactly what's in the law before we
Do you
tinker.
know of any other towns that do that? Johnstown, you said?
Gloversville, I
Do you
believe
know?
it was Gloversville.
Do you know?
The officer, no?
I mean, if we're
No,
the
Ag
only
and
one in
Markets
New York
is
State,
so
I'm
old
gonna
and a
go
lot
out
of
on a
tort law
limb
written in
and
it,
say,
but no, that's been a problem for years since I've been working in here, 16, 17 years. We
Mhm.
don't have things that we can enforce and address that.
Mhm.
Yeah, technically, these are not torts because they're an offense against the governmental entity.
Mhm.
A tort would be civil.
Yeah. I'd be interested to know what other towns do it.
I would too.
There's a reason they don't. I really do.
Well, I don't think we know.
And there may be something in the law that we
I
have
have no.
different
doubt.
power to, but I'm not
The
sure.
second
until
you
we
start
see it.
arresting people for dog permits, you're creating a bigger problem than you had in the first place.
Well, it's like traffic tickets. I mean, people have.
Careful what you say.
I know. But people sometimes get arrested for those and they get 500 of them, you
You know,
know.
like, I would, if, in terms of a livable community, whether people pay their dog permits is like, All right, whether you're gonna get arrested because you forgot is another
Well, if you
crazy
wreck,
story.
if you
We don't
wreck,
send out reminders, by the way, that's like another thing. You do a ton of reminders, but once it goes to him, nobody gets anything. I know, cause I did it. You'll call and call, which is great, you're doing your job, but once it goes to the justice, if you're a no-show, that's it, that's done. You know, nobody reminds you, no, so the next thing is, somebody, like, just doesn't, they forget to show up to court, right? It happened to me. Somebody's gonna come to my farm and arrest me, It seems kinda crazy.
what were you supposed to show up in court for?
Pay my $25 dog permit.
Oh, well, were you told that you had to go there? Or could you
You got
just,
a letter.
could you just have paid in some other way?
Yeah, no, you had to, I think
You had to
you had to
show
go.
up.
Yeah.
I-
I was like working, and I just forgot.
We're not just talking about one time though, it's
No,
people that are
we're talking
doing this
Repeat,
constantly.
right. Like
So-
I said, there's the one family has a staff like that on Judge Dyer's desk. That's just one family.
Has he called them? I bet he hasn't called them.
He doesn't have to, just like I don't have to call. I don't have to
So
do
we're
any
gonna
of those
arrest them
reminder
because we don't wanna
letters
make
or
a phone
anything.
call?
I just do it because I try to work with people.
Well,
Well, you're breaking the law though, right? I mean,
No,
that's,
they're just not paying their permit.
but
Right,
that's,
that's why they get the ticket, is because they broke the law. It's New York State law,
Well, that's different.
ag and
than-
market law, and it's our town law.
I can't see
It's
anything until we see
crazy.
the law. I have to see the
I'd like
original
to
law.
also.
Okay,
Yeah, maybe better look a little more.
Resolutions.
anything more on that? Motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, any opposed, any abstentions?